I love use of English part 3, and hopefully in this video I can share that love with you as we look at not these kind of words, your typical suffixes. We are looking at these slightly more difficult ones that, yes, they could be repeated on the exam, but they are not your typical production, produce, inform, information. Some of the more irregular ones on part 3 in our tricky series, because those are the tricky ones, right? These ones you can do easily. The ones you need to learn are the tricky ones. We start with a little trick in English, as always in these videos. We're looking at some vocal warm-ups that, professional people like me, teachers, podcast hosts, the modern celebrities, radio hosts, news presenters might do before they start speaking. For example, what are you looking at here? Of course, this is a one-of-a-kind city, but that's very easy to say. What you actually should be saying is unique New York, unique New York, unique New York. I'm very curious as to whether the YouTube subtitles will be able to clearly identify these, so let's see. Now, this one is much more difficult. A small female victim killed last night. What happened, of course, was a little old lady mutilated late last night. Or in American, where you hear it a lot more, a little old lady mutilated late last night. Or maybe it was in Australian where I first heard this on the old Tony Martin Get This. A little old lady was mutilated late last night. Little old lady mutilated late last night. And finally, this one is a famous one. There's no way the subtitles will be able to do this, but can you do it as the viewer? Any noise annoys an oyster, but a noisy noise annoys an oyster most. That's right, of course. Any noise annoys an oyster, but a noisy noise annoys an oyster most. Did you follow that? Hopefully you understood it. But let's get into our use of English part 3. That's why we're here. That's why I'm paid the big money. You have got 3 samples here, 3 questions that have some kind of grammatical link. So if you can start working them out, they're all going to be a bit easier. You've paused the video, you've taken your time. Here come the answers with the explanations so you can make very good notes in your use of English part 3 documents where you're learning and improving. Number 1 is going to be sweetened the deal. They made the deal, the bargain, the offer sweeter. They sweetened it. Number 2, push-ups will strengthen your chest, of course. And number 3, you are deepening your understanding. So you can see the pattern here. We take an adjective and we add N, sweeten, strengthen, and we get the verb. This is especially common with these measurement words that I've got a whole video on. If you want to search Focus on Cambridge measurement words, use of English part 3, like widen, shorten, heighten, weaken, and so on. But a common trick for C1. Let's move on. Number 2, you pause the video. I'll shut up for a second. And then I'll tell you the answers. Well, again, we've got some kind of measurement words, but these are slightly different. We are talking about a shortage of computer chips. There's not enough. A marriage, which is actually an easy one, isn't it? Because you know that word, but remember, this is how it's formed. And news coverage. And all of these age suffixes mean that we're talking about something in general. For example, storing something in the storage. If you're packing things, you're doing it in a package. You go on a pilgrimage because you are a pilgrim to a religious place and so on. So you might find some of these words. You can see the pattern. They're not super common, but they could be on the C1 exam. Number 3. Now these ones are quite a lot more common on B2 and C1. Do you know the answers? Because here they come. Our survival, the president's approval, how people approve of him, and your arrival, when you get off the plane in a nice warm destination and you can feel the heat. You can see the pattern here. If the verb ends in a V, then we often put al. Remove, removal, revive, revival. There's not so many more, but survive, approve, arrive, those are all pretty common on your B2C1 use of English part 3. As we move on to part 4, go, go, go. Go, go, go. Here come the answers. You have gone, you have done it. Now we're getting tough because now we're getting a bit more irregular. Well, if something is done to the hotel has undergone the renovations. To undergo means to experience that process. She was very sociable. She was very outgoing. And the investigation is continuing. It's ongoing. Wow, those are good expressions with go. Other ones you might find with other common verbs like that. For example, come. Income, meaning the money you make. to overcome, to get over something, or a comeback when a football team or in any sport is losing and then they end up winning. What a comeback. So you need to think about these common verbs. They are on the C1 exam quite a lot, even though they are not your typical Latin transformation. Number 5. Yeah, we know what we're doing here, don't we? You've seen these before. You've watched my videos. You're getting to know the tricks. Freedom of the press. Boredom and wisdom. Slightly irregular. Be careful there. We remove the E because I don't know why. It's just a very old word, isn't it? Wise, like the mountains. Wisdom. So words that end in dom. There's not so many, but you'll definitely see wisdom and boredom on C1 and freedom on B2 because they're common words and they like to try and trick you with these slightly irregular ones. Number 6. Yeah. Hopefully you're getting the trick here. Number 3 is pretty difficult. But the first 2 we definitely know: childhood, neighborhood, and in all likelihood. Likelihood meaning the possibility of something, the chance of something. The likelihood is, the possibility is, the probability is, I should say. So the hood suffix, those are the common ones, but you could have motherhood, brotherhood, or livelihood. Livelihood more for C1 or C2, I think, but your livelihood is your job. It's how you make a living. Our penultimate question. Yeah, these are good questions. I'm giving you a good class here. I hope all my students are appreciating this quality content. But I do need to shut up a bit, don't I, and let the student do the work. So I've paused it. And here we go. They are all, of course, verbs. Maximizing, popularized. I mean, you can't, here's a little trick, right? You can't just say popular because you have to change the word in the exam. It does say clearly you must change the word. Popular fits, but then you didn't change the word. So it was popularized in the 90s. And criticize is the verb of critical. Critic is a person. Criticism is the noun, and so on. Other verbs, there's quite a lot, isn't there? Advertise. Always thinking about where it comes from, how it gets transformed for other questions. Apologize, recognize, and so on. So finally, yeah, nice questions here. Nice questions. Take a minute, think about it, pause the video. And here come the answers. You underestimated. So you can see where we're going with under and over. He overcame a serious illness. He got better. And finally, given their dedication, we work very hard. We don't get so much money. We are underpaid. So over and under, possible prefixes. Overworked, overflow, the water overflowed. Underground, easy. Undercooked, which you might have for chicken or pork. So there we go. Now let's put this into practice as always. I hope it was useful. Can you do this brand new original Use of English Part 3 exercise that I've taken from a very interesting book called Knowing the Score, which is about the philosophy of sports, which was very interesting. Pause the video, work your way through them, then I'll tell you the answers and explain them, and you will see how you did and leave a post in the comments and we'll all be happy. Number 1 is going to be typically. Number 2, bad behavior. Number 3, uncertainty from context. Number 4, traditionally. Number 5, highest from the superlative. Number 6, tendency, slightly irregular again. Shameful, and opposition, meaning the other team. So I hope that was useful. All we need to do now is for you to do some more work. The next paragraph in this book has lots of useful Use of English Part 3 words for you to be practicing. So can you note down the ones, any transformations you think you might see in this text? And then we really are finished. I hope that was useful. Goodbye.